Adjutant online. Registry.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the third GGvision Starcraft 2 Colosseum with our gladiator of the week, WhiteRa, here playing as Duckload Ra, the red Protoss, in the upper starting position of Xel'Naga Caverns versus Virus Naama, the Finnish Terran player who made a huge name for himself when he won Dreamhack Winter 2010, which was casted by Day9 and The Apollo, and I was very happy to be in the audience seeing that amazingness happen live. That was indeed a spectacular show. If you ever get the chance to see Day9 do his thing live, commit to it. Here we see these two players clash again on Xel'Naga Caverns in what is part of the ongoing European tournament BDL, the Black Dragon League, which is an invitational tournament for European players with as much as $6,000 in the total prize pool. I believe that WhiteRa was one of the Protoss invites, whereas Naama had to qualify all the way up there. And here they clash in what I have been told is a very epic match indeed. So we might assume it can go on for a while, but I honestly do not know the result of this match, so it will be very exciting to see and to cast. Here we see WhiteRa placing his first gateway, going out to scout, whereas Naama has placed one supply depot at his ramp for what will surely be a wall-in, and building his barracks here in the back of his base. What can we say about Naama's style of playing Terran? Well, he might not have the special tactics that WhiteRa has made himself so famous for. He is steady as a train, but sharp as a razor. We can expect him to play Terran the way it's supposed to be, allegedly, and simply to bring a solid game here to compete with WhiteRa's more unorthodox way of playing StarCraft 2. WhiteRa is of course more old school than most players. He's been around since the early days of Brood War, and he simply looks at the current trends and the metagame and find ways of abusing it. Of course, we see him often use Dark Templars and War Prisms very effectively, and maybe he will do that here as well. Cybernetics core now going down, and Naama's SCV is up in WhiteRa's business, just as WhiteRa probes is in Naama, so I believe it actually has escaped now, going for some high yield minerals just for kicks. And here we see the first marine being built for Naama, and here we see now a tech lab going down. Maybe that will be a quick Reaper, or going straight for Marauders, we shall see. It started to harvest gas. Looking at their respective incomes, WhiteRa is ahead with 5 harvesters, 21 probes to the 16 SCVs of Naama, and now even bringing that scouting probe with the high yield back. That's just a nice little feature there. Now we see WhiteRa going for a fairly quick second gas, upgrading warp gate, so we'll see if he'll go for something early tech-based like a 1-gate robo, or if he'll go for something like 3 or 4 gate into expansion, I don't know. Whereas Naama is playing it safe, constructing a bunker at his ramp, and his Reaper is soon completed. Now we see WhiteRa moving down with a Zealot and a probe to see if he can do some early harassment, but more than likely he'll be content with preventing Naama from placing a quick second expansion here. You see the SCV going down, but it's forced to retreat. We've yet to see command center being built anyway. Here we do see it, a command center being placed in the safety of Naama's base. So as the forces of WhiteRa are gently poking at the front of Naama, we see the Reaper now entering WhiteRa's territory, taking out that probe that was supposed to construct his nexus, and microing against this sentry here, and indeed taking it down. And that is a minor but meaningful victory for Naama, because sentries are indeed quite expensive, and WhiteRa wants his sentries to stay alive simply so they can build up mana for force fields. So definitely good work Naama, taking first blood, first meaningful blood, and maybe even be able to take down this Zealot if he macros well. Well, this Stalker actually slays the Reaper, so that's an end to that. WhiteRa now has placed his Nexus, and is already constructing a robotic facility. Indeed, it was a 3-gate into expansion, followed up by a robotics bay, and now a 4th gateway being added as well. Naama is almost finished with the construction of his command center. We'll see if he'll float it down immediately. and has yet to place any further interesting tech. He's being on 2 gas, going for orbital command in his base, playing it safe. WhiteRa is still aware of things, having his probe here, so he'll know the moment that Naama moves out or expands. This Hellion will probably try to kill some probes, but I doubt WhiteRa will let that happen. Meanwhile, he will probably construct an observer out of here or go for his quick war prism. We'll just have to see. Indeed, it is observer first. Looking like we're heading into a macro game that will lean towards the late game, ladies and gentlemen, and that is of course what we do want to see. Starport now being constructed with the tech lab on it. We'll see if he'll switch that to a reactor or if he'll actually go for banshees. Which would not be a bad thing at all. Now salvaging that bunker, moving out here to his expansion, establishing new defenses at the new frontier, and indeed he is establishing defenses, 2 bunkers and a turret going down immediately. Naama, steady as a train but sharp as a razor. WhiteRa, yet to show us any of his special tactics. Well, here we do have a Twilight Council going down and 4 gates still. We'll see if he'll go for any of his early war prisms or not, or if he'll just take up to Colossus maybe in what is a more standard approach to Protoss versus Terran. Naama is saturating here, and indeed we see Banshees and Cloak being constructed here. So we'll see some air harassment from Naama, not a bad idea at all. Unit wise, we have 4 sentries, 2 stalkers and 9 zealots versus the 6 marines, marauder and 2 siege tanks of Naama. So it's definitely still in the build-up phase. Naama is heavily fortified, does not mean to move out anytime soon, but that's where the Banshee comes in handy. Already having queued up a second one, so it seems like he means business. WhiteRa meanwhile has constructed his special tactics war prism with 4 zealots in him, yes. And now breaking down the rocks, so we'll see an expand here rather than the greedier, more risky but of course more high yielding expansion here. We'll see if he can do any shenanigans with this war prism as he sees the Banshee. They're passing by each other like ships in the night, and meanwhile we see a robotics bay and Blink being researched at the Twilight Council. So Colossi and Blink Stalkers on the way. Here's the first Banshee, and of course Naama saw that war prism that passed his Banshee, so he's well aware of this and should be able to defend this, actually scratching the paint a bit on that war prism. And meanwhile, we do see now the Banshee with Cloak going in there, but WhiteRa has an observer and actually able to snipe that Banshee. So they both managed to deflect each other's harassment, but WhiteRa got all his units out pretty much unscathed. So 1 up to WhiteRa there. Now beginning his weapons upgrade level 1, and of course Blink almost being completed. Whereas we see Mana going for the heavy macro, steady as a train kind of approach, constructing his 3rd command center. The question is, will he float it here or up to the high yield? Since WhiteRa might be expanding soon, Naama should definitely try to keep ahead, and that's indeed what he's doing. Having constructed supply depots here as a wall-in what is John the Translator's secret, or no, common knowledge package, that passage, that's what they call it at GGvision.net. Never mind that. Zealots being dropped now in the mineral line of Naama, but it's heavily fortified, and turret should be able to take down this war prism if the Marines don't do it first, and it seems like this attack was pretty much nullified instantly. Naama is just too good at defending. But War Prism can warp in stuff, and now we see a few Stalkers moving down here through the common knowledge passage, and 3rd Nexus being planted for WhiteRa. Now they're breaking down the supply depot wall, but Naama should be able to defend this no problem. And now upgrading Orbital at his fresh command center. So we'll see if he can do anything interesting with this. At least he is forcing Naama to defend rather than attack, and that is always a victory in and by itself. Now with a huge War Prism micro, he managed to escape there and actually can safely escape with also his War Prism, bravely retreating out of there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we do see that the thermal lance upgrade for the Colossi are is almost finished, and we do have 2 Colossi out already, and being already started with the 2nd attack upgrade for his units. adding another 3 gateways, so that should put his gateway count to 7 in a moment. And WhiteRa is definitely gearing up for the heavy production mode that we saw him not quite reach in the last game when he played against Beastie Cutie on Metalopolis. There he definitely managed to hold back his opponent, the Serbian Terran player Beastie Cutie, with very surgical Dark Templar usage, but Beastie Cutie managed to counter him in a very brief timing window when WhiteRa could not quite get his production up yet. Now it seems like WhiteRa has reached that stage, using some cute blinkage there to kill that lonely marine. I don't believe that Naama yet knows about that expansion, but of course he can count on it being there. And here we see Banshees moving down, no probes to kill there yet, but definitely they can be quite a nuisance to WhiteRa. Warping in Stalkers like a boss. I'm sure there's an observer around here somewhere. And yes indeed, here they are exchanging blows. Naama, meanwhile, has decided to expand over here at high yield expansion, wanting to get one up on WhiteRa since he has now expanded. He's also added a Raven to his forces, which will definitely help out against any future Dark Templars and against Stalkers, because of course the point defense drone of the Raven is very good at limiting the damage dealt by those Stalkers. And again, he's fortifying his new frontier very well, adding a sensor tower turret and 2 bunkers. We'll see just what WhiteRa will do about all this. His army count is now up to none less than 4 Stalkers and 18 Stalkers with 4 sentries and a couple of Zealots in there for good measure. Income wise, pretty even in harvester count. WhiteRa should now realize that his opponent is indeed out-expanding him, because this high yield will definitely put Naama well ahead, so he will decide to counter that with what would definitely be called a Ninja Nexus. This is very exposed should Naama find it, and as good a player as Naama should definitely do that quite soon. It will be difficult for WhiteRa to hold this, so the best way to defend it is probably by being very aggressive and going for somewhat of an attack. Then again, that is easier said than done, because Naama seems to be quite a defensive master, but here WhiteRa goes. He's got Naama's got a few Vikings out there, of course, that is to combat the Colossi. We even see him upgrading vehicle weapons level 2, so he's quite serious about all that. And meanwhile, as WhiteRa is attacking Naama's base, we see Naama doing a very ballsy thing indeed, constructing 3 command centers. This is to have mules in an abundance, so we can simply out-macro WhiteRa without having to using SCVs, but never mind that, Naama is cancelling them because he's got a huge Protoss force in his main base, and this will be able to wreck this no problem. Naama is indeed quite a ballsy Terran, he just goes for the counter-attack. This is a full-on base trade, ladies and gentlemen, and this is why this game was recommended to me. We will see 2 fearsome players base trade, and just imagine who can come out on top. I certainly have no idea, because WhiteRa has recently expanded over here and is transferring his probes. Naama now knows about it. Meanwhile, he's destroying everything. We even see a fusion core. It seems like Naama was on his way to battle cruisers. We'll see if that ever comes into play. Now it's crashing into the base. WhiteRa has double robotics base, but they will be destroyed instantly, as will all his gateways and all of his tech. WhiteRa needs to think fast here. His both expansion up here have been destroyed, and his main base will follow in a matter of moments, but WhiteRa being all over the place takes out all the expansions of Naama. Naama has only 1 floating command center. It seems like it's on the way to WhiteRa's pretty much barren main base, and meanwhile we see WhiteRa being 1 base up all of a sudden. This Ninja Nexus paying off like never before, and it seems like WhiteRa would not quite be able to catch up with his command center. Had only been a little bit faster, he would have been able to secure the victory here and now. But now Naama has fortified himself inside the main base of WhiteRa. Ladies and gentlemen, as base trades go, this is more epic than most. WhiteRa has quite a fearsome army. 36 Stalkers, 4 Colossi still alive, and an Observer somewhere. Whereas Naama has 25 Marines, 1 Ghost, 1 Raven, a Viking and a Banshee, a couple of Medivacs and Marauders. And now we see him constructing supply depots all over WhiteRa's main. He is serious about this base trade. It's quite a literal base trade for once. WhiteRa being a very versatile player himself, is rebuilding all of his tech and production facilities, and now we see the Dark Shrine. Finally, I thought we'd never see it. This is special tactics coming into the late game post base trade. Quite a rare sight indeed, but a lovely one to see nevertheless. Colossi here firing upon the units, but they should probably retreat. The siege tanks are actually within range, so here we have something of a stalemate, ladies and gentlemen. WhiteRa is up economically because this is a fresh expansion. He will be able to use it. He can definitely expand over here as well, should he want to. Meanwhile, he is leaving no traces behind, or prisoners for that matter, destroying the remaining structures of Naama. Whereas Naama is rebuilding here, but he has got no money left in the base, so WhiteRa got the better exchange out of there, and WhiteRa still has a robotics bay up here, so he can construct Colossi still if he builds a facility, as he's doing right now. Naama needs to expand again, like now, whereas WhiteRa is quite comfortable sitting here with at 125 supply army versus the 78 supply of Naama. So the Grandpa Toss is leading this exchange so far, but this is a fearsome Terran force and it's very well fortified. If he can move out here and position himself as he would had this been his own natural expansion, he can definitely claw himself back into this game. We've already seen how good Naama is at defending, and this is very aggressive defending. WhiteRa of course knows that and does not want to allow it to happen. But it's hard to break such a Terran. Definitely full on a fortified Terran with siege tanks and upgrades is very difficult to beat. And I do believe that Naama actually tried to use the armor down here to upgrade further vehicle weapons, but that was shut down by WhiteRa. So Banshees, that could definitely come into play here if Naama decides to want to poke a hole in the economy of WhiteRa, as he is right now expanding here to what used to be Naama's territory. Now we got 2 warp gates up and a Dark Shrine and robotics facility, so we do have possibilities. WhiteRa even constructing a Templar Archives. That could be a definite good thing to have against any infantry army of a Terran. And now he is breaking down these remaining structures of WhiteRa. He's losing his robotics support bay there. And well, this is definitely a unique situation, ladies and gentlemen. Now Naama is constructing 4 starports. Bet we'll see Banshees coming out of them, definitely, and a few Vikings. WhiteRa is now being EMP'd all the way to hell. He cannot break that front as of yet. This will take some special tactics indeed. So Naama sits well where he is, but he's got no income practically. No, none at all. They're quite even in harvested count, but Naama's harvesters are all but useless right now. So on the production tab, we indeed see tech labs go up, so Banshee production should be in full swing. Naama do have some money in the bank, 1300 of both gas and minerals, so Banshee's on the way of all the starports, and here we have the WhiteRa army patiently waiting for Naama to make some sort of mistake. WhiteRa has as many as 2 observers, a very good idea indeed. That's why he built the new robotics facility, just so he could combat the cloaked Banshees of Naama. And now Naama is trying to sneak out with a few forces, but that should prove to be a bad idea. I'm still curious to see whether he will... oh, WhiteRa's already prepared for a Banshee attack. He knows that is the most effective way for Naama to claw himself back into this game, by using Banshees effectively. Here we see a full production swing out, and 4 Banshees on the way to WhiteRa's only mining base right now, but an observer and 3 stalkers are waiting for them, but seems like the Banshees might be able to take them down no matter what. This could destroy WhiteRa's economy, and that will put him on an even footing with Naama all of a sudden. So, oh, feedback, there's a Templar there, and oh, feedback again, or fedback as I like to call it. Beautiful defense by WhiteRa, using a minimal amount of units, but he also had to retreat his whole stalker army, because WhiteRa is very aware that he has not won yet. He is definitely in a commanding position, but that could definitely be taken away from him in an instant. And here we see the Banshees attacking the almost defenseless Colossi. Sure, he's got 2 Templars, but they can only feed back so much. Now he has reunited with the Stalker force, and here we see the Templars being EMP'd by the Ghost, now forming themselves into an Archon, but these are five actually Banshees, unupgraded but still very deadly, taking out that Archon before it can be finished. And now Naama will get his semi-fresh expansion that used to be WhiteRa. So Naama by no means out of this game, and WhiteRa, he'll have to do some of his special tactics pretty soon. Some blink action up here maybe. There's a tank guarding, and the Banshees, they are what really keeps Naama still in this game. WhiteRa has a very deadly force, but Naama can pick away at it with those Banshees, and WhiteRa cannot move too far away from his main base. Seems like Naama has not yet landed. There we go, Naama, don't lose it now. Seems like he for some reason saved his robotics bay until now. Meanwhile, we do see that WhiteRa is moving in for what will probably be the final onslaught. Yes, indeed, blinking all the way over Naama's frontier and obliterating the forces. The Banshees are proving very tough indeed, but he's losing. Oh, and that's a beautiful Psystorm and a feedback on that. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grandpa Toss has this. He has secured the victory, I am sure. 4 Banshees still in the air. They can take down the Colossi, but it seems like all is lost no matter what. WhiteRa still has production facilities, he has income, and the Banshees are going down. There is an observer out there, and there we see the power of Blink. One Colossi is still standing, and there's the GG from the Finnish player Naama, who won Dreamhack 2010, but who was bested by WhiteRa in the Black Dragon League. And well, what a game. As base trades go, this was one of the more watch-worthy ones I've seen so far. So I hope you enjoyed this GGvision Starcraft 2 Colosseum broadcast with me, Sebastian Sjöberg. This has been a premiere week of me for casting. I'm new to this, as I'm sure you can hear, but I'm very old when it comes to Starcraft, and I'm very happy to be back casting and delivering content onto YouTube. And please feel free to share your feedback, ideas, what can I do to improve, what do you want to see. Tomorrow I will be back again, but it will be not the Colosseum episodes as such, it will be something different. I'll explain to all of you what the intentions of my channel are and what I will bring to you in the future. But for now, thanks for watching. If you liked it, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you tomorrow. GG for now.